Alright, so this video is going to annoy people regardless of what I say, so I'm just going to say my piece and move on. Hopefully you'll listen, because I do think this subject is important. If you are in fandom spaces associated with things that I talk about, you probably know something about this already, at least a little bit. Recently, Dana Terrace, the creator of the Owl House and Knights of Guinevere, has come under a little bit of criticism for being kind of short in a response to questions fans had about whether or not the character of Frankie in Knights of Guinevere is trans. Her statements were very blunt and came off as if she was being a little dismissive of people. And, like, arguably, there's an argument to be made for that. It's not like it's obvious that her tone was meant to be cold. It's text. Text isn't good at conveying tone unless you're flowery to a certain degree, you know? But there is this sort of, like, unspoken rule of internet creator fandom etiquette that when somebody asks you that, if your answer is no, you, like, say, but, you know, like, headcanon what you want. If you see yourself in the character, you know, good, that's great. I'm happy for you, you know, that kind of thing. And she didn't do that. And on its own, I think that's, like, you know, she could have said the other thing too, but not that big of an issue. But then there's reports of her blocking people who attempted to clarify and question why she, you know, didn't say anything more on the topic, while leaving up comments which contained known trans-misogynistic rhetoric. And I don't think anything was meant by this. I've looked into it. She's responded since then, clarifying that she didn't mean to sound short, and she is happy for people to see themselves in any of her characters, and that she's fine with headcanons. And I'm satisfied with that as a response to her initial statement and the criticism of it. And so I think what's going on here is that her new pilot just came out. It's a very personal story to her, one that hits very close to home, probably brings back a lot of frustrating and painful memories. And we're in the period where the show still might not be picked up for a full season. And I think she saw some people asking questions about one of her characters who she probably has a lot of reveals planned for going forward. Didn't want to give too much away. Came off as kind of dismissive. And then when people responded to that, she perceived what she thought was people coming for her, which, regardless of how you feel about what's happened, is reasonable. Because people in fandom can be very passionate to the point of being a little overboard. We all know that. And she might not be fully aware of what rhetoric is used in trans-misogynistic spaces. So I think what very likely happened here was that she was attempting to do something that I advocate for usually, and she was trying to curate her experience on social media in a period where she wasn't sure that she could really handle everything that was coming at her. This is how it happened on Blue Sky, by the way. In case you want to follow along with this mess for some reason. And so, like, I don't think there was anything malicious about this. But I will admit that it's not a great look. She didn't come off fantastically immediately. And so people have rushed to assume things. But I think people were taking it too far. The cast working on Knights of Guinevere all seem very happy with Dana and with their roles. Even queer members of the cast don't have a problem with her. And so honestly, I don't think she needs to say anything else on this matter. Now, hold on a second, let me finish. I said I don't think she needs to. She has an existing body of work. The Owl House in particular, while it didn't have any explicitly trans feminine characters, you could argue V is, but that, again, that's an argument. There was all kinds of other rep in that show. Rep that she had to fight for. And we have no idea where she would have gone with her representation if Disney wasn't trying to force her to meet them halfway. So she has clarified her position. She seemed genuinely apologetic for something that I think was probably just a misunderstanding to begin with. And she has a history of being a queer-friendly creator. I think she's fine. I don't think she's transphobic or specifically transmisogynistic, which, for those who don't know, is specifically bigotry directed towards trans women and trans feminine people. And I'll talk about that a little more in a minute, because it's a bad thing. But I don't think she or her show are transphobic or transmisogynistic. I think that this was all just a big misunderstanding that some shitty people used to spread their bullshit around in a fandom that honestly isn't welcoming of that kind of rhetoric to begin with. But while I don't think she needs to say anything else, I think she could. I think if she were to sit down with somebody who knows what they're talking about this subject, and helps her to understand where some of this concern was coming from, it would give her a chance to make a statement about trans misogyny and shut some people down that could be very powerful. I'd like to see her do that at some point. I hope something like that comes out of this, because it would be very positive, I think. But I am not really concerned with that issue any longer. I'm pretty satisfied with where Dana stands as a person. And I do think we should continue to support this show. I think it has important things to say. I think it's a quality production. I think it benefits a lot of people who've been working on it to continue to support it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I do think it's an important conversation to have, and an important thing to keep in mind, that there were people spreading around trans-misogynistic rhetoric in the comments of that post, and that it's been spread around in places discussing this situation since then, and there's an insidiousness to it. Just like all bigotry, there's an insidiousness to it. It's kind of like, if you look at J.K. Rowling's brand of transphobia, which is also specifically transmisogyny, by the way, she perpetuates it by asserting that she's trying to do a good thing, that she is trying to protect women. The people who were spreading stuff around in the wake of this incident were specifically claiming that they were trying to make the point that just because a woman is more masculine, that doesn't mean she has to be trans, because gender non-conforming representation is also important. A thing that I agree with. The problem is that rhetoric is often used to shut down trans women and disparage trans women, and specifically spread trans misogyny, using that same vehicle that somebody like Rowling does. Because at the end of the day, most people who spread bigoted rhetoric are convinced that they're doing it for the right reasons. There are definitely people who are genuinely just bad, bigoted people who take advantage of those others to spread their stuff, but a lot of them genuinely believe they're doing the right thing. And that makes that rhetoric very easy to spread. And just like anybody who is objectively wrong in their views, like flat earthers do this too, right? They will jump on any opportunity to find validation in their beliefs, because the ones who are trying to spread it maliciously can use that as a jumping off point to spread it more, and those who aren't, who think they're doing the right thing, they need that validation, or else they'll have to take a second to actually think about their views, and they might realize they've been wrong, which is a very painful process to go through. I know from experience. I used to be more like them than I am like me, if that makes sense. I've not always been a good person. And before anybody tries to say I don't have a horse in this race, one of the reasons I had to rectify all that is because I do fall under the trans umbrella myself. I don't know exactly where I fall. That's I still need to do some experimentation to really figure that out. But I do consider myself to be part of that greater community. So even if I wasn't just concerned about this because it's right to be concerned about it, I would be concerned about it because it matters to me personally. And I think it's something that people need to be aware of. And like, I don't think that we should come at people super hard until we know exactly where they stand. But I also think people could really stand to listen to people, especially trans people who are claiming to be affected by something, when they say they're being affected by it, and try to figure out some kind of compromise or something. Just listen to people. That's really what I want to be the takeaway from this video, is we need to listen to each other. Until such a point that one side makes it absolutely clear that they don't have anything worthwhile to say. Maybe I'm a little naive, maybe I'm giving the benefit of the doubt where I shouldn't be, maybe I will turn out to be wrong about Dana Terrace and her show. But I really don't think that's the case. Either way though, I want to make it clear that while yes, it's true that GNC rep is also important, and while I'll admit I didn't really clock Frankie as a potential trans character, I more saw it in Andy than in Frankie. Personally, I get where both camps are coming from. I like that Frankie is solid GNC rep, but I also think that she's a cool character to see yourself in if you're trans. I think both work, and I think both can coexist. But let's not use anyone else's views on this to put anyone down. Because any rhetoric that lifts one group up by putting another one down, that's just bigotry in disguise. Every single time. Just be aware of that. Please. And let's talk to each other. But yeah, that's it. I mentioned this all happened on Blue Sky. I do technically have a Blue Sky account. I went and checked before I made this video. If you guys want to come over and follow me, you can. I don't know how much I'll be on there. But maybe we could have a conversation about this over there if you want. It's mostly dogs and me hating the president. Maybe you're into that. I don't know. My Tumblr's like that too, if you want to check that out as well. But yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys later.